All right, let's talk about one of the true powerhouses of the woodshop, the thickness planer. Now, using one of these is about so much more than just flipping a switch. This is your masterclass for really getting a handle on this machine, doing it safely with total precision, and getting those perfect results every single time. So let's jump right in.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down what a planer actually does. Then we'll go through the absolute must-do safety checks before you even power on. We'll dial in the perfect settings, tackle the machine's biggest risk head-on, and then wrap it all up by showing you how to get that flawless, glass-smooth finish. Okay, first things first. Before we can even get into the safety side of things, we've got to be crystal clear on what this machine is actually for. So, what is a planer, really? And what's its true mission in your workshop? You ever look at a piece of rough, almost kind of fuzzy lumber and wonder, how in the world does that become a perfectly smooth board that's ready for a project? I mean, the difference between the before and after is just night and day. So, what's the secret to that transformation?
Well, the answer is this incredible machine right here, the thickness planer. It is an absolute beast, a real workhorse in the shop. But, and this is a big but, it's a machine that demands your respect and a really solid understanding of how it works. So here's the most important thing to get straight. A planer's main job is to make a board a consistent thickness. That's it. It uses the bottom of the board as its reference point and then shaves material off the top to make it perfectly parallel. It won't make a warped board flat, but it will make a board uniformly thick from one end to the other.
Okay, now for what I like to call the pre-flight check. This is the absolute muster routine you have to follow before you even think about hitting that power switch. We're talking about checking yourself and checking the wood you're about to work with.
First up, let's talk about you. Any powerful tool with spinning parts is an entanglement risk, right? So that means all jewelry comes off, any loose clothing gets tucked in or secured, long hair, gotta be tied back. And of course, you do a quick once-over to make sure all the machine's safety guards are right where they should be.
And this one is totally non-negotiable. Sawdust and wood chips are gonna be flying everywhere. You have to have proper safety glasses on 100% of the time you're using this machine. Seriously, no excuses. Okay, once you're prepped, it's time to inspect your lumber. The safety of this whole operation depends just as much on what's going into the machine as the machine itself. You really have to put on your detective hat here and look for any hidden dangers.
And check this out, because this is just incredible to think about. A tree will literally grow around anything in its path. We're talking nails, bullets, old bits of barbed wire, or, as you can see in this wild example, an entire bicycle just swallowed by the wood. Now, can you imagine hitting hidden metal with those high-speed blades? It's a recipe for absolute disaster. And that's exactly why you inspect every single board.
So, beyond foreign objects, you have to look for the wood's own natural flaws. You know, things like big, loose knots or major cracks and splits. These can cause the board to just shatter inside the machine, and that can lead to a jam or a really dangerous kickback. If a board looks sketchy, just don't plane it.
Okay, so you're geared up safely, your wood has been inspected, and it's good to go. Now it's time to actually set up the machine. And there are a few key numbers you absolutely have to know to do this safely and get good results. First on the list, length. Your board must be at least 12 inches long. Now, why is that? Well, anything shorter can actually fall and get trapped between the infeed and outfeed rollers, right over the spinning cutter head. It loses all support and can be shot out of there like a cannon. It's just incredibly dangerous.
Next up, width. You gotta know your machine's limits. For this particular planer, the absolute max width you can run through is 20 inches. Trying to jam something wider in there is just going to cause it to get stuck, burn the wood, and put a ton of strain on the motor.
Now for maybe the most important setting of all, the depth of your cut. The sweet spot for pretty much every pass you're going to make is 1/16 of an inch. Taking off these small, controlled amounts isn't just way safer, it's also the secret to getting a much, much cleaner finish.
And hey, here's a fantastic little trick for this specific machine. One full, complete turn of that big elevating wheel raises the cutting table by exactly 1/16 of an inch. It's a simple, basically foolproof way to know precisely how much you're taking off without even having to squint at the scale. And finally, you have to remember the absolute hard limit. Never, ever, under any circumstances, try to take off more than 1/8 of an inch in a single pass. It's just not worth it. You're putting a massive strain on the motor, and you are dramatically increasing your risk of getting ugly tear out and dangerous kickback.
So we've mentioned that word kickback a few times now. Let's really focus in on it. This is without a doubt the single biggest risk when you're using a planer, and knowing how to avoid it is absolutely critical.
Take a good look at this diagram. Those red areas, directly in front of and directly behind the machine, that's the kickback zone. If a board is going to get ejected, that's where it's going, and at very high speed. This is why you always stand to the side of the board as it's feeding through, just like the operator is doing here. Never ever stand in that line of fire.
Okay, let's play out a scenario. It's a high-stress moment. You're feeding the board through, and then suddenly, it just stops moving. It's stuck. What do? Panicking is the worst possible response. There's a clear, calm procedure to follow.
Here's the playbook. First, you can try to give it a little more grip by slightly increasing the pressure with the bed roller adjustment. Now, if you see the board start to lift up, your instinct might be to shove it forward. Don't do it. You only push down to try and get it to re-engage with the rollers. Never push it in. And if neither of those little tricks works, don't mess around. Hit the emergency brake, shut the machine down immediately, and get some help.
So now that we've covered all the critical safety stuff, let's talk about how it connects to the quality of your work. Because here's the cool thing. Following the safety rules doesn't just keep your fingers attached. It's also the secret to producing beautiful, top-quality results.
One of the most common problems you'll see is chipping, or tear out, where you get these ugly little chunks ripped out of the surface. Well, the causes are directly tied to our safety rules. It's usually from trying to take off way too much material at once, running the feed speed too fast for that particular piece of wood, or planing against the natural direction of the wood grain. You get those three things under control, and you're going to get a finish as smooth as glass. So I want to leave you with this one last thought. All the guards and the brakes and the rules, they're all essential, right? But the single most important safety feature isn't on the machine at all. It's your focused attention. In woodworking, that focus isn't just what keeps you safe, it's the very soul of the craft. So, the next time you step up to a powerful machine like this, what will you be focusing on?